Over the last month, I've been dissecting every single aspect of Blake Rocha's coaching business. From his content, his conversion mechanisms, all the way to his funnel and sales process and systems. And what I found, quite frankly, completely shocked me. While most coaches and content creators struggle to make even $10,000 a month, Blake has been able to develop a system that generates him $3 million a year effortlessly. And the craziest part is he's been able to do this with just a handful of high converting sales assets. And I'm actually about to uncover a ton of different leaks in his systems that he could be improving. But nonetheless, he's still absolutely printing with this system. So today, I'm breaking down his entire funnel step by step. And by the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding why most coaching businesses fail and how Blake has been able to scale effortlessly. Let's get right into it. So first and foremost, it's incredibly important for us to understand how he's generating highly qualified leads, right? And this comes down to the traffic that he's generating and his content systems, right? So the main platforms that Blake is focused on are his Instagram and his YouTube. And these are by far the best platforms to do this, right? In terms of generating sales. There's a bunch of other platforms that have really amazing algorithms like TikTok, for example. And these are really great to spread awareness. But when it comes to a coaching business with the goal of converting these leads, Instagram and YouTube are by far the best platforms for this. So as you can see here, he has his Instagram profile. He doesn't have a profile picture, and this is likely because he's been hacked and someone took over his account. And so I've seen a lot of people do this who've had this issue, and apparently one of those fixes is actually just removing a profile picture. It makes it harder to find, which I'm sure is affecting his traffic, but nonetheless, it has definitely not stopped him. Blake has 3 pinned posts that everyone is going to be seeing, and he really plays into the authority that he has in this space because he has been really successful with the business model that he teaches. And so he makes that extremely clear, and that gives him a ton of credibility and social proof and authority, like I said. And it's incredibly important if you are a coach who has found success with a specific business model to make that extremely clear and apparent so that people trust you and what you have to say right off the bat. And this will make the rest of your content just hit and resonate that much harder because they know that you actually know what you're talking about, of course. And this just goes into the, know, like, and trust aspects of what the goal is with content. And if people do not know, like, and trust you, then they are going to keep scrolling, right? And so he does this with his 3 pinned posts. And the first one is one that really is just very authentic. It talks about how he's really struggled. His journey was incredibly challenging, and really just describing how it was all worth it at the end. And, he's been able to retire his parents, live his dream life, and it's very raw and authentic, and obviously talks about a lot of the, proof and success he's had as well. And, he is honestly getting extremely emotional in this video. It's raw, uncut, he's going on his morning walk. And he pinned this post, and it's gotten a ton of views, a ton of traction, and ultimately the goal with this is to be authentic, but also, continue to lean into that authority that he has, how he's been able to achieve his dream life. And so this is really top of funnel stuff. It's going to attract a lot of other people that want to also build their dream life and find motivation in this content. And so that's really what this is doing. His next pinned post that he has is really just building social proof and being like, hey, I'm really walking the walk and I'm not just talking the talk. So his next one is just proof of him, closing another Airbnb with his mom. Of course, once again, he really leans into this and it comes across extremely authentic. Once again, people buy from people, right? They don't want to just think that you're just some business guy with no personality, no morals, or, what are your true values and things of that nature. And if people can resonate with your values, they're going to resonate with you as a whole, and your message, right, and what you are promoting. So that's really what he's doing. He obviously breaks down the details of the property, and once again shows that he's actually really doing what he preaches and not just some glorified coach. And then the last one is also just a ton of authority. He's showing that he closed on another one. This one is a lot more authority as opposed to like authentic based. He's building just a lot more social proof once again. And he is not specifically flexing, but he's doing it in a tasteful way. But he's showing like, look, like I really do this. And so the theme with this is he's being authentic, and he's showing a ton of his authority as well, and just social proof. And he wants every single person that comes across his page to see this. And so once again, his primary content pillars are authority, trust, likability, and social proof. And with the rest of his content, it's extremely raw, unedited, and genuine clips. He doesn't do any fancy editing. A lot of it is just recorded directly on his phone. And he's just talking about different ideas that he has, things that he's working on. He talks about his goals, his mission, and a lot of this is top of funnel. So he just wants to attract as many people as possible. I'm going to be getting into the exact top of funnel, middle funnel, and bottom of funnel content strategies in just a second. But when it comes to his Instagram, he's not pushing middle funnel or bottom of funnel content. He just wants to cast a broad net to attract as many people as possible. See that, starting entrepreneurship, building a real business is possible for anyone, which of course will then bring them down the funnel into the rest of his content, which is his YouTube. And so we're going to get into that right now. The one thing that I would say he's missing from his Instagram content is he's missing that Q&A style where he kind of responds to a lot of questions that people are asking him, whether it's in the comments or whether it's from a story poll. And this type of content is extremely high converting when you're answering questions that are specific to, your coaching business and that business model that you're promoting. It really, people really want to see those insights that you have. And a lot of the things that he does are just things that just come to his mind, things in his day-to-day life. But he doesn't really get into too many tactics or strategies. And you can talk about different tactics and strategies really easily on Instagram by just answering people's questions that they have, either in the comment section or as I said, by asking them directly on your stories through polls. And this is the easiest way to make subtle CTAs to your program and generate a lot of interested leads effortlessly. And so when it comes to Blake's YouTube, it's actually incredibly interesting what he's doing. And he has two types of content. One continues to build a more authority and just genuine and authentic style content where he's either vlogging, showing his lifestyle. And once again, he is I would say he's an emotional person and he's very in touch with his emotions. And he talks about those emotions and people really resonate with that. And it shows that he's just a normal guy, right? Just like anyone else, and shows that anyone can replicate that success that he's had. And so it actually does a great job. But the thing that really works wonders, and this is the key aspect of his system, are the different undercover VSLs that he has. And so we're going to be breaking down exactly how to make an undercover VSL that is posted just like a standard video on your page, but really it is directly made to convert people and get them into your actual funnel. Because content in itself is part of the funnel, but until they start clicking around and looking for more information on your product, and until they actually become a lead, they are not truly in your funnel. They're just watching your content, and it's unless they're converting, then it's going to be really hard to keep marketing to them. And then you're kind of stuck in that flywheel of having to make content to get a new customer, as opposed to having their information, emailing them, and things of that nature to convert them on autopilot. So we'll be getting into that as well. But with these undercover VSLs, they are really framed to get people to take action. It's very tactical. It's very strategy based, and it answers a lot of questions, limiting beliefs that people have about the Airbnb arbitrage business. And so I'm going to be going over in the next section how to put together an undercover VSL, but it's important to note how he's driving traffic from his videos. And under the description of his, vlog style videos, he's actually not putting any links to any of his programs. And a lot of people, they'll just put a vlog up that, isn't really talking about or really even attracting Airbnb owners specifically, or people that are interested in that model, and they'll still put their links in. And so he actually doesn't do that. He actually comes across even more authentic. One thing that he should be doing though is he should be driving people from these videos to his undercover VSLs. And so putting a link to those other videos actually would be really, really smart to keep people in his content system, and to continue flywheeling, the viewers and pointing them in the direction of, watching the converting assets. And so simply putting a link, to these other undercover VSLs under these videos where, the goal isn't for people to buy from posting these videos, but it's just the point is to get them in your funnel and get them to know, like, and trust you further. So drive top of funnel traffic to bottom of funnel content, which is obviously the undercover VSLs. And then when you see these undercover VSLs, every single one of them has links to the program, right? And so it's really important to understand how to drive traffic and where you want traffic to be driven to, right? If they're just top of funnel, it doesn't make sense to drive them directly to a landing page because they're cold, they're uneducated, they're unnurtured. You need them watching your undercover VSL first, right? And so when you think about your different content strategies, it's really important to think about it in 3 different ways: top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. And there's different purposes, there's different content types, key elements and metrics for each type of content that you're making. So the first one obviously is top of funnel, and this is vlogs, day in the life, market commentary and news about, Airbnb, what's the market doing. A lot of people will be really interested in this that are less educated on the business model because maybe they're more hesitant, and so this will actually get people to click. Obviously, from their inspiration and success stories, the purpose is to raise awareness and attract broad audience. So your goal with these vlogs and stuff isn't to get people directly to pay you, right? It's to get them to watching your other content and just building that trust with them. So the key elements is to make sure that it's SEO optimized and keyword optimized, and it really just fits your branding and messaging, right? What is your brand? What is your personal brand? And how do you want people to remember you? Are really the key elements for this. And the key metrics here is obviously just getting a lot of views. So if you're not getting a lot of views on your vlogs and things of that nature, you should be optimizing for that. Subscriber count, how many people are sharing it, how many people are talking about it, and your channel discovery metrics, of course. From there, we have the middle of funnel content strategy, which is specific to a problem, and then you're showing them the solution to that problem, right? Or, myth busting or misconception videos, limiting beliefs, talking about that, helping people overcome those limiting beliefs so that they're more ready to take action, right? And actually get started with specific business model. Because if they're ready to take action, they're probably also going to be looking for help, right? And that's how you get them to convert. You can also be going over different tools, resources, softwares that you're using, how to use them effectively, and really simple screen share videos that go over this, right? And if someone's watching a video of you clicking around on a software or an app for 10, 20, 30 minutes, that's a really good sign. And the goal with these, like I said, is not to go viral. At this point, you're actually nurturing and converting these people. And then once again, the Q&A, Ask Me Anything sessions is really, really great for this. And the best middle funnel content strategy, especially for Instagram, that I really love. And you could also kind of do like a Q&A, Ask Me Anything session as a vlog, right? And then you're kind of taking that top of funnel audience and also kind of nurture them even further by answering that Q&A within. And so kind of incorporating that is also a really good idea. The goal here is to educate and engage them, right? Key metrics is really engagement, so comments and likes, click through to a website, your email opt-ins, right? Having free lead magnets with this type of content so that you're collecting people's emails and phone numbers so that you can continue marketing to them. Because if they're watching this stuff, it's really the best type of people to keep marketing to, right? And with this, watch time is super important. If they are watching your tutorials and they're not watching it all the way through, you need to take that into consideration, where that is definitely key. And in terms of the bottom of funnel content strategy, this is of course the Undercover VSLs, which we're right about to get into, the different case studies that of people that you've helped in your program, or your own case studies and your own properties that you've been able to build, testimonials, and even further demonstrations of very, very tactical and strategic things. And one thing that's really important is people tend to forget that knowledge is free. People think that people are paying for courses, coaching products just for the knowledge, and they are, but they can find the knowledge elsewhere, and it's definitely on the internet somewhere. Someone's giving away that information for free. And so a lot of times people are not paying for the information, but they're paying for the implementation. And so do not hold back in these demonstrations. Don't think that you have some secret sauce that no one has ever heard of. Give all of that value away for free and charge people in your coaching and mentorship for the actual implementation of that knowledge. So don't hold back in your content and really give all that value away for free. The goal here obviously is to convert and actually retain your audience, to be persuasive. You need to be persuasive in your content, and as well obviously having strong call to actions. And the most important metrics with this is obviously how many applications you're getting, how many sales calls are being booked, what is the conversion rate to the paid program. And if you're not getting conversions from your bottom of funnel content, then you need to reassess that. And so really, obviously, the 3 steps to content creation is optimize for these 3 top, middle, bottom of funnel content strategies. From then assess the performance of them with these key metrics, and then adjust the strategies based on these metrics. Let's get into how to actually structure these Undercover VSLs, because this is going to be your conversion mechanisms. And if you don't know how to properly make them, your sales are really going to suffer. And so I did a deep dive on how Blake is making his, and so let's get into it right now. So he's focused on a really great hook, capturing attention and establishing authority once again. From there, he is really teaching while selling, and providing value, but also, he's got a great way of also, finding that middle line, that middle ground of teaching while selling, and we're going to get into how he does that, and psychological triggers as well, right? Why it works emotionally. So from there, he's doing strong call to actions, soft and natural sales transitions, and then he's also pushing people to his implementation guides on how to replicate this system that he's built, right? So first, when it comes to a hook and capturing attention, you need to identify the target audience's pain points, right? And actually providing a solution to their problem and really framing that at the beginning of the video. From there, you need to set realistic expectations to build trust, right? A reality check, telling people who this is for, who it's not for, reminding them that this is not, a get rich quick scheme, and to make sure that you're actually attracting the right kind of prospects, because you do not want a bunch of people who think that they're going to make $10,000 by only working 1 hour a day and not putting in the work, because those people are also probably broke, right? And so setting realistic expectations is really important to get the right people into your funnel. And as well, right off the bat, you want to establish credibility with specific results, the revenue that you're making, the properties that you have, the students that you're helping, and things of that nature. From there, teaching while selling, using visual teaching elements like a whiteboard, screen share, real examples, absolutely crush. This is what people want to see. They want to see the tactics. They need to be able to visualize it and things of that nature. And then from there, present a step-by-step framework that's extremely clear and actionable, right? I wouldn't hold back on the information. I would hold back on how they can actually take that information and implement it for themselves. And so remember, give the information for free and charge them for the implementation. Because that's usually, people will usually just gather as much information as they can, but then they just have information overload and they don't know how to take action on these specific things, which is why they're going to actually pay you at the end of the day. From there, strategically withholding, the deeper details, like I said, of the implementation to create curiosity for more help. From there, continue to lean into those psychological triggers. I've gone through these on my past videos, specifically the Iman video, if you guys want to go check that out after this. But, people need to see social proof before buying. Otherwise, they're never going to trust you. So showcase real success stories with specific numbers, contrarian positioning, challenging mainstream narratives, right? Airbnb is dying. People will be really curious about this, and it's going to kind of activate their triggers, and maybe make them worried if this is something that they've really been looking into, and you can overcome that within the video. And opportunity framing, right? Reframing the challenges as a smart investment opportunity, right? When everyone zigs, you need to zag, things of that nature. And you can really play into this and overcome a lot of objections that you'll come across in your sales calls, handling them directly in these undercover VSLs to actually further educate people. From there, you need to have the right call to actions. Frame the offer as a natural extension of free value, right? And this is what's going to get people into the funnel and even further nurtured watching your VSL and booking that call, right? And so that is just an extension of the current undercover VSL that they're currently watching, right? It needs to be low friction. You can't be creating a ton of friction unless if you have millions and millions of followers. But if you only have, 5, 10, 50,000 followers, you want to keep it low friction to get as many people through the funnel as possible, right? So offering free workshops, free trainings, free resources will make that extremely easy for you. And Blake has a really low friction funnel, which we're going to keep diving into. From there, clear direction, simple CTA, no aggressive selling. Just, hey, go check the link in the description. From there, you want to wrap it up with implementation guides and how to replicate the system for themselves, where you're balancing teaching with teasing and giving them actionable content, but leaving curiosity for more, right? As I covered. And you want to develop a complete framework, right? Where you're providing a ton of value, but not enough for them to go implement, right? As I said, by using these visuals and demonstrations establishes expertise as well, where you continue to build that authority throughout the video, and creating a natural transition point. So you're really laying out the step-by-step action plan for them. And then you can say, hey, look, if you're ready to take action on this plan, and we can discuss, the implementation and these next steps with you on a call. And that right there will make it extremely easy to get people really interested and start booking a ton of calls. And then the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to converting content is story sequences. And I've put together some amazing stats that will really blow you away. But really what it's saying is that actually stories is one of the key features on Instagram that people are using more than any other feature. And it's the feature that is converting the most people into sales, right? Where brand stories, stories of different brands have an 85.3 completion rate, which is really, really high compared to a lot of, reels and short form content videos. A lot of those just get, scrolled past, but people really watch all the way through like proper stories. From there, 58% of people say that they've become more interested in a brand or product after seeing it on a story. So, it's really important to also be nurturing people through your stories. And 50% of people have visited a website to make a purchase after seeing a product or service on a story. And then this is another one that's really interesting, specifically based on Blake's content, but story ads shot on a mobile are outperforming professional studio-like production shot ads 63% of the time. And that is why Blake's content does so well, is because it is just very raw and authentic, shot right on an iPhone. You do not need some crazy setup to be absolutely printing with your coaching program. And so really with story sequences, there's 3 key things that you need to do to nail your story sequences. You need to hook people into your story, right? It could be big, bold claim, results. There's a lot of different ways to do this. I have a full breakdown if you guys want to see this more. You can DM me on Instagram. But from there, going into a story, telling people a captivating story that leads into your CTA. From there, you have that story. Maybe it's a case study, and you're showing then the proof of that case study on the next slide, and then you have that CTA as your last component of your story to get people to take action. And so Blake does this really, really well. This is a screenshot I took from him. He didn't really have a hook, but he did a really great job with story, proof, CTA. And so you guys can read through this, but he is utilizing this and promoting his products on his stories once again, which is really important. So let's hop into his funnel. It is the most basic funnel. It is the most basic sales process of all time. I spent all my time talking about this because the rest of this is quite basic, but there's so many gaps and things that he could be improving on. And so even just looking at his landing page, he's missing a big, bold claim and headline, which generally is really important to get people to keep watching the video. So I definitely would add that if I were working on his offer. And if he was one of my clients. By the way, if you need help implementing any of these systems that I'm talking about, you can fill out an application below. I help coaches, consultants, and creators with these exact systems fully done for you. And I'll script out all your Undercover VSLs, build out all your landing pages, your sales teams, tracking mechanisms, all that fun stuff. But so when it comes to his landing page, it's just 2 steps: watch my VSL and apply to see if you qualify. And within his VSL, he uses a really great framework. Once again, he's amazing at his content strategy and how he's framing himself and his offers. So the first thing that he's doing is setting expectations for what the video is about. It's about 15 minutes long, so he really needs to make sure that people are watching this video all the way through, right? Because otherwise they're not going to be properly educated and they're not going to feel that sense of urgency to take action. And those are 2 really important things. So he then goes on. This is actually the slide that he talks about and sets expectations. He then goes on and talks about now versus then. This is where I used to be at. I was just a normal kid. And here's where I'm at now. So he gets even more social proof and authority. It's also relatable because a lot of people, I'm sure, are in his same position of where he was at then. And it allows prospects to know what's possible. From there, he continues to drive home social proof and trust and why he's qualified and how he's helped a bunch of other students achieve results. He explains the business model of Airbnb arbitrage to further nurture and make it really clear of what the program is about. And then he actually explains the biggest challenges of the business model. And he addresses the biggest bottleneck that people have when it comes to Airbnb arbitrage, which is allowing the landlord to allowing you to list a property on Airbnb's website without you owning it. And that's the business model that he preaches. And he hits on this head on, right? Before anyone starts talking about it on any sales calls. And then right after he hits on this, he explains how his service overcomes this exact challenge. And so this is incredibly important to address any objections that you're going to be getting on sales calls and making it clear that, hey, Airbnb arbitrage is a great business model, but there are challenges as well. From there, he explains his offer and how the offer and his coaching services help you overcome these challenges. He goes over the features of the offer and the benefits, what you're going to be getting, the guarantee that he has within the offer. He sets expectations for the next steps, allowing people to visualize the sales process that they're going to be going through, right? You're going to talk to someone on my team. We're going to take you through this. We're going to provide a solution to your problems, and then we're going to get you onboarded, and you're going to be in the community. Once you're in the community, we're going to be doing an onboarding call, all that stuff. It's important for people to be able to visualize it. Otherwise, they don't know where they're at with the whole process, and there's going to be a massive drop-off rate. He continues to pre-handle more objections that I'm sure he's gotten on his sales calls. He makes a CTA to apply now. And then he goes into a quick not that quick, it's actually like a 3-minute long cost of not taking action. And it's actually just more motivation. If people have gone that far in the video and they still haven't taken action, you need to get them over the line and really taking action. And so he goes into motivation. Where are you going to be at if you don't change and fix your life at the end of the day? So his VSL is really, really great. His landing page could use some work. I could use even some more testimonials, some case study videos below this. If people are still on the fence, he does talk about it in his VSL, but not everyone's going to watch it all the way through. Of course, some people just want to click around. And so it's important to have that in there. From there, he takes people to an application. He asks very basic qualifying questions, gets their info. What is their goal? What is their current monthly income? How much money do they have ready to invest? Which is obviously a financial qualification to make sure that they can pay for the program. And are you ready to take action? So these are all really important things. It's very low friction. You can go a lot more in depth with your application. If you're getting a ton of applications and a lot of them are unqualified, you want to add more friction. If you're not getting a lot of applications, then you want to make it a really frictionless form that's really simple. So his is really simple. If he was getting more leads, I'm sure he would add more difficult questions, more qualifying questions, but his is extremely simple and straightforward. From there, people go to the actual booking page, and there's two things that I hate about this. He is letting people book 30 days in advance, which is absolutely going to murder your show up rate. Please do never do this. Imagine if it's, I took this screenshot on the 8th, but imagine it's the 8th and I book a call on the 28th, 20 days later, I've moved on. I'm probably looking into a different business model. There's no way I'm ever going to remember that I have a call booked 20 days in advance, right? And I'll also dive deeper into this, but Blake has really bad follow-up sequences, and there's no one ever hit me up. I didn't receive a single email from him further nurturing me. And so if I'm booking 20 days ahead and I'm not getting any further information from him, a team member or one of his setters never hits me up, his show-up rate is really going to be affected by this. And so what I recommend is having a maximum of 3 days of 3 days out when people can book a call to get people really remembering you and not forgetting about that call, creating more urgency that way. Another small detail is it's missing a description. So it just says, congrats, you're approved, book a call. But you should be telling people even further, like, hey, this is the exact things that we're going to be covering in the call. Here's why I need to show up, and why it's important to actually book that call. And so it's important. It's a small detail, but you need to have a proper description of what people are booking that call for. And they obviously will understand already from the past videos, but it's still important to have that in there. From there, he doesn't have any thank you page or post booking assets, right? It just takes you to, your call is scheduled, but you need to have a proper thank you page with more information, because now people are booked that call, they're excited, they're in your funnel, they're excited to talk to one of your team members. And this is actually like where the sales process starts. You should be treating a booked call as the very beginning stages of the prospect's journey. Even though they've been through a lot of your content to get to that point, this is where leads are being converted the most. And so with that being said, you need to get prospects to show up to the call as educated as possible, and bombarding them with more information and more value is super important at this phase. And so you also want to be answering frequently asked questions and pre-handle objections once again. He's doing a lot of this in other places, but the people that are ready to invest $5,000-$6,000, which is what his program costs, they want more information. And even if they don't, right, they don't have to click on it, but the ones that do want it are going to be the most likely to buy anyways. And so really taking advantage of this. So when it comes to pre-call assets, you need a pre-call VSL, answer frequently asked questions, break down the offer even further, student interviews, spam them with wins, and showcase your own personal journey even further. And so with that said, the best way to structure that video is this right here: who you are, what to expect on the call, case studies, who is this for, who is this not for, what you specifically do, how it works. You get a tie down for them to commit to attend the call, and let them know how important this call really is to change their life, and then a thank you, see you soon at the end. And then pointing them to this other information, right, which should be on a nice and beautifully designed thank you page. So as I said, when it comes to the sales process, Blake is not taking advantage, and he's making a big mistake here. I did not have a single appointment setter or member of his team reach out to me. I also did not get a single email from him. And so with that said, there's two things that should be happening once people book a call, or even some people will fill out an application, but then not book a call, right? And so this should be happening regardless. You should be having both automated actions and manual actions. So the first one is a 12 email quasi-periodic email sequence, where it kind of looks, the best way to do this is by providing value in your emails, more CTAs, personal transformation story. With these CTAs, it can literally just be pointing them to go watch the pre-call assets, right? Where you're just going into depths about your offer and what you do, right? Which I just covered right here. From there, you need to have an actual setter that's fully trained, that once someone opts into that application, within 10 minutes, they're either calling them up or texting them. Calling is preferred because then you can actually have a proper conversation with them. They just went through all your content, and you can have a genuine conversation and really form that relationship with them right away. Because up to this point, you're just some guy on YouTube that they've seen. And so if they can actually talk to a member of your team and have a genuine and valuable conversation with them, they are going to be red hot and excited for that call that they have scheduled with the closer. And this is really important to improve that show up rate, because if people don't show up to that sales call, you have no way of collecting, their credit card information. So if they're not responding, it's important to continue to text and dial them until that call is either booked or that call is confirmed. And then with this setting process, it's also important for you to further qualify them. If you need to make sure that you're ready to take action, they are financially qualified. And if they're not, then you need to get them off the closer's calendar. So the setting process is extremely important, right? I wasn't qualified for his program. I wasn't ready to take action. And I also wasn't prepared to pay $6,000 for his program, but I'm still booked 20 days out. on the closer's calendar, right? March 30th is when I booked at the end of the month, and I'm still on his closer's calendar, which is taking up a slot, and that's going to be wasting his closer's time. And so there's no setter that hit me up to make sure that I was serious about this life-changing investment. From there, the closing process, once the call is booked and confirmed, you need to have both, once again, automated actions and manual actions. As I said, never allow meetings to be booked past 48 hours. This is really key. You can do 72 hours, but you want people hopping on a call as soon as possible once they book. Otherwise, the no-show rate is going to take a massive hit. So with that being said, automation is, continue to redirect into those pre-call assets. You need to point people to that information. If they're not, really diving deep into more of your client wins, the case studies, the testimonials, all of that stuff, they're going to be less likely to buy. And so the more of that information they consume, the better. And I'm really driving this home, but it's super important. From there, you want to obviously send them an email confirmation with the links, confirming the time, 36 hours before the call, another reminder, links to testimonials, 24 hours before the call, you continue to pepper them with that information. And they're getting, there's a fine line between too many reminders and not enough. And this is really the structure that I've found to be the best to really improve that show up rate, right? Which of course is one of the most important aspects of the sales process. Because if they don't show up, once again, you cannot collect their credit card information. So from there, the setter's responsibility, this is typically still the setter reaching out. It's the setter's responsibility to book calls, but also to make sure that they show up to the calls. And so it's important, for them to have genuine conversations, build a genuine rapport, strong trust, and following up with prospects. But we also don't want to be annoying them. So doing this in a very professional way. And of course, the reason that we're reaching out to them is most people don't organize their lives. And so you have to do it for them. And if you're not doing it for them, you're leaving a ton of money on the table. And one of the most important aspects and really underrated aspects is, that having an actual genuine conversation with them. There's a lot of different ways that you could do this. My favorite is actually just, how is life in XYZ country or state? You can really take conversation in a lot of different ways and build, an actual relationship with them based on that. Hey, I've actually been there. I haven't been there. Ask questions about it. And just actually showing that you actually really care about the prospect, right? You can even from there, ask them, are you interested in purchasing Airbnb properties in that specific state, or are you looking elsewhere? And then you're even just further nurturing them and making sure that they're a good fit for their program. By having that genuine conversation with them. You can also obviously just ask them how their day is going or how has life been for them recently. And this is actually going to bring out specific pain points that you can even touch on and obviously further qualify them. So after you spark that genuine conversation, the setter is also continuing, and their main goal is to get them to watch that pre-call asset. As I've been preaching, and not everyone will watch this post-booking /VSL, but if they do, the chances of them closing increases by 30%, right? Which is a massive spike. And that is a ton of money, right? That takes effort, but it's extremely worth doing. And then obviously this is how I like to confirm the call 24 hours before the client's appointment. Hey, name, just checking in and reminding you that our call today is at XYZ hour. Excited to talk to you. 12 hours to the call. See you soon, man. 3 hours before the client's appointment, go ahead and click the link in the email. I'll see you on the call. And this right here is how I would make sure that they actually watch those in a tasteful way, right? On the day of the call, right? A lot of people will leave things to the last minute. And so the best time to get them to watch that content and those assets is right before the call. From there, the last aspect of the sales process is, tracking and KPI tracking, making sure that you are hitting your goals and your metrics. And so having, spreadsheets that are fully automated, tracking the prospect's name, where they came from. Did they come from your Instagram? Did they come from your YouTube? Did they come from your paid ads? And tracking this, right? Because then if you know where people are coming from, you can really scale your system. And by putting more of your effort into specific funnels, you can actually track as well which videos that they come from. So then you can replicate that style of video in the future to continue really just driving and scaling your business. When is the call booked? Is it a strategy session, or is it just a demo call if you're doing a 1 or 2 call close? When is it scheduled? Once again, their email, their phone number, and then you can track the show rate, who's closing, who was just DQ'd, who canceled their call, and things of that nature. From there, this is the spreadsheet that I use to track where calls are coming from, whether it was an ad, organic content, were they qualified, where are they coming from? Because if you do not understand your data, you do not understand your business, right? And so this is incredibly important as well. And then, sectioning it off, whether it's a discovery call or a strategy call if you're doing a 2-call close. From there, tracking your setter's performance, right? How many new outreaches did they do to, people that opted into the funnel, even cold outreach, even outreach to new applications. How many of those were a quality conversation? How many follow-ups did they do? How many booking links did they send to actually get people on a call? How many of those booking links that were sent turned into a booked call? And then obviously you can track percentages. From there, you can do a lot of things with that information and make sure that your team is actually doing the things that you're telling them to do. From there, obviously tracking key pieces of data from how many calls were booked, how many deals were won, your closing rate, your cash collected, on average, how much cash are you collecting, your average order value, tracking closer commissions, setter commission, how many deals that could have been closed, you lost out on, so that hey, this is really, we could be making 20-30% more if they're watching that post call VSL. And so if you're not tracking this on a proper dashboard, you are going to be leaving a ton of money on the table. From there, you need to have systems so that your entire team is actually all on the same page, right? And so they can all see the new applications. They can all see, what the prospect is saying. And so it's very seamless. They're not searching for all that information everywhere. You have different tabs, different leaderboards, questions, and, general chat for your team. And different channels. You see all your payments coming in. I like to have humiliation boards. If people are not doing what they're supposed to, then you kind of put them on blast. And this simply is not really it's not made to humiliate them. It's made to keep them accountable, of course. And so that is really what that looks like. And this is really what has allowed Blake to make $3 million a year with his coaching business. As you can tell, the reason that his system works so well is because he has an amazing content system and conversion mechanisms. He's leaving a lot of money on the table with everything once people actually get into the funnel, but has such targeted content that the rest kind of just works on autopilot, right? And I'm sure he could be making closer to $4, $5, $6 million with, systems that are built out even further. So with all that being said, if you're a coach, consultant, or a creator looking to scale your info product, your coaching business, or your mentorship to new heights, I help people with a done-for-you service where we handle all of these systems from A to Z, from coming up with the right traffic and content strategy, helping you build and script out the right conversion mechanism and content, all the copywriting, all of the emails, all the text blasts, and from there, obviously building out a proper funnel that is actually qualifying people correctly, making sure that people are booking calls and hopping on calls and closing and converting on these calls to ultimately bring you a lot more money. And so if you're interested, there's a link in the description where you can go fill it out, and you can hop on a call with me directly. We'll go over what you're currently doing in your current monetization strategy. And if not, if you have any questions about what If you have any questions about anything I just covered, you can always just go ahead and DM me on Instagram, and I will be more than happy to help and give you some free sauce. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you on the next video. Cheers.